From a super speedway and the biggest race on earth, the Indianapolis 500, to the streets of Detroit, IndyCar is back on an action-packed month of May. Welcome to the streets. Welcome to the 313. It's time for practice 2 at the Detroit Grand Prix. Great shot of all the cars leaving to head out on track. And as they do so, Hinch, why don't we remind everybody at home, it's a very unique circuit, and we've already seen a track map, but I want to run around it again, Hinch, because the start line for the race is where it was last year on the run down to turn 3, but then we have two completely different lines that determine different aspects of this track.
Yeah, there are a few different things you got to consider when coming to any IndyCar circuit. We have the start line. We also have the alternate start-finish line, which at this particular racetrack is right here on Atwater Street, about right there on the track. So that's where drivers are going to start and finish their qualifying laps, which is why you see the backups a little bit further back. And then, of course, you get through turn 8, you get through turn 9, and you get, yeah, there's the all-star finish line right there. But the finish line, the checkered flag is going to fall, and the restarts are going to happen down that straight between turn 9 and turn 1, where the pit lane is. So, championship leader, Alex Palou.
Oh, look at that. Swerves to not hit the bird.
Animal lover. That is very nice.
You're not supposed to hit that red line on the way out, but he'll probably get a pass on that.
I mean, I hope so.
Trying to take the humane approach. He doesn't show that kind of sympathy to the competition.
I think we saw 177 as Ericsson backs up.
Cool feature of the hybrid system on the Indy cars, that is how reverse is operated. There's essentially no reverse gear in the gearbox anymore. They just turn the hybrid system backwards. They switch the plugs, and that's how it works. So here we go, quick replay of Ericsson.
I mean, this is what we saw from Stingray Robb yesterday when he got in the tires. The entry speed is so slow until you build tire temperature. I mean, Kirkwood could have stopped right there if he wanted to, seemingly, and Ericsson just a tick later on the pedal, just can't get it slowed down.
It's a steamy morning.
Axel Foley would feel right at home over in turn 3.
It's got to be distracting for the drivers coming through and just seeing like a not insignificant amount of smoke coming out of the corner.
I mean, imagine on a restart, there's plenty of cars with a lot of white bodywork, so you come ripping through there.
You got to think, we're sitting about a foot above what Graham's field of vision would be, so you're just driving right through that.
Yeah, especially on a cold morning, it's probably even more profound.
Yeah.
Dual nostrils.
Bit distracting, to be sure. Done. We ride on board here, the Java House machine of Alex Rossi. He had to miss the first 10 minutes of practice because he was late to driver weigh-in yesterday after FP1. That's a rule here in IndyCar. You have to go get weighed as a driver within 15 minutes of the conclusion of the first practice session. Rossi a little bit late to the scales and loses 10 minutes of track time.
Herta, fastest driver at the moment. He's had a pole position here, a fastest lap around this track in the past, knows it well, loves it. And Louis Foster, who won here last year in Indy Next. Of course, a brilliant qualifying performance for him at the Indy GP and showing well so far this weekend as he returns to a track on which he has had so much success.
Rosenqvist is going to be one to get excited about, I think, this afternoon. Always at or close to the very sharp end of the grid on street circuits in this Meyer-Shank program. I think Marcus Armstrong, too, had a podium here at Detroit.
So did Felix.
Yes.
Yeah, one.
So, I mean, these two guys could put their notes together, combined with what they see from their sister program at Chip Ganassi Racing, specifically Alex Palou's data from last year, and try to piece it all together for that critical qualifying session. I think it's a different race this year by virtue of moving the restart line to the front straightaway, the restart zone to the front straightaway versus the back straightaway, because track position's more critical, in my opinion, year over year.
Fourth in a championship now, Felix Rosenqvist. What a year he's having.
It's just phenomenal. I mean, nice consistency. We talked a lot about the qualifying pace of that whole team in the first few races. Best kind of average qualifying across the team for a few different rounds there, and he's been been doing a great job.
Bit dark for David Malukas. That's better. He looked good yesterday.
He looked great yesterday, and coming off an incredibly strong run.
Oh yeah.
And this is this is Kiffin Simpson coming out of the pit. But guys, this blend is going to be an issue in the race. I mean, in practice, Kiffin maybe should have just hit the anchors a little bit, let the car go. But in the race, you're going to have these close moments in what is a very, very tight first turn.
Proof, however, you can get side by side through one.
Just. And how treacherous for Kiffin Simpson, who's on cold sticker, brand new black tires there, just trying to tiptoe his way. Certainly had no intention of trying to block anybody, because it's going to take him several laps to even get competitive grip out of those new tires. But it will be dicey on race day down there for sure.
Rossi just coming off of a little turn 8 incident there. But here's what we missed during commercial break. Pato Ward, the number 5 machine, down into turn 3, gets it a little bit wrong, goes a little bit long, and finds the tire wall. I imagine a front wing replacement would be required on that one.
Take a look on board with Will Power, as
he just moved him with his mind on this one.
He gets double smoke. I mean, Pato's cold tires out of the pits. Hopefully that front wing's okay. It looked like a fairly minor bounce, although it's bouncing now, and it is definitely not okay.
Suboptimal, to be sure. That is broken to quite broken.
It's like a pretty clean lap from Ward. He nailed it there in turn 3. He's currently 5 seconds, James, off the quick time of Christian Rasmussen. Just hasn't put one together.
And he's backing off now.
Done 8 laps, so still looking for one clean one. But really the key here is get a read, right? You don't have to do one lap. What you really have to do is understand where your race car is balance-wise as he goes long, and it does not appear to be in a good spot braking.
We've seen so many drivers in so many runoffs.
Trying to restart on the hybrid.
That didn't sound good. That sounded a bit like gear to gear. There he goes. Ooh, understand there's some issues for Marcus Armstrong with some, speaking of bangers.
Oh,
that edge sticks out so unforgivingly there. Hopefully the suspension's okay. I imagine they've already replaced the right rear wheel.
Kevin, Scott Dixon down in 13th. What can you tell us about him?
Yeah, and he wasn't super high up on the charts yesterday either, just 18th. And after yesterday's session, he said, we're really struggling with understeer, and everyone is. He said the rears would come in, the front's just waiting, and now it's cool today. Even more difficult to get tire temp, but we know if anybody's going to figure it out, it's Chip Ganassi Racing. He's qualified in the top 5 both years, finished 4th a couple years ago and won last year.
Well, you can tell the way that Dixon is catching the rear of the car in the brake zone for turn 3. It's basically just sort of backing it in like it's a super bike. I'm sure he's cheating the brake bias heavily to the rear to avoid front lockup, but also to help the car turn as he's trailing the brake in all these 90-degree corners. Sometimes that's a little tuning cheat that you can, err on the side of too much rear bias to kind of help steer the car on the brake pedal, basically drift it in. We understand that the two, Josef Newgarden, got into the wall at some point, and it looks like they are done for the session.
Ooh, slip and slide.
Into the last turn, turn 9.
Poof. Rear left into the wall. Little kiss.
Little kiss and a cuddle. Steering wheel still looks straight.
Didn't look like that would be session ending, so maybe they decided to finish early, as Palou struggling big time down there in turn 3. That's a huge lockup. You compare that to what we saw to his teammate Scott Dixon. Completely different sort of brake biased approach probably down there, as Will Power has a moment with DeFrancesco. Let's see if he plows him.
That was Devlin.
Yeah, interesting move there from Power. And McLaughlin getting close to the exit of turn 1.
Boy,
is
he
it
just
just
missed
me,
that
or is Will driving with a bit of venom in him this weekend? Because,
well, if people would just get out of his way, I mean, he'd be fine.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's, you know, Dev clearly was a little bit off the pace there, but
Will's not the only driver on track.
no.
And there have been moments this weekend where he's driving as if he feels he is or should be. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, the thing yesterday with Kirkwood was super typical. What happened there with DeFrancesco, I don't know if DeFrancesco was on an out lap. That was an odd place to be going that slow for sure. But it could have been new tires, cold tires, whatever. So I think frustration a little more warranted for me there than yesterday. Yesterday was just kind of bizarre, frankly.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of calculation went into that decision. It was entertaining.
Big save there out of turn 1.
Close here, Will, but worst case, this lap and one more.
Cool to see the correction in real time on both cameras there. See the cockpit as he's having to get arms over elbows there to save the car.
Also kind of fun to have a clear visor and really get a chance to see Will's face.
Oh, yeah.
In uninterrupted, clear, non-tinted visor as Rinus VeeKay takes the overshoot in turn 3. Oh, smoke show.
Huge lockup.
We just saw something very similar out of Palou. Again, these drivers all just trying to push probably a newer set. Oh no, it's still a decently used set on Rinus VeeKay there.
Checker flag out. Half the field, 13 of 27 drivers have hit the wall or used the runoff as Power gets up to the back of Rinus VeeKay.
Rinus tempting fate here.
Checker flag at this time.
That is
Add it to the Will Power highlights wheel from this weekend.
it's like a land baron out there.
He's
just looking
directly at
straight
him.
at
He's not
it.
even looking at the corner.
Giving him the stare down.
Exactly what he did with DeFrancesco.
I figures not getting penalties for anything else.
He's on the radio saying, why is everybody in my way? I think I heard the checkered flag was out.
It is.
That might explain it.
Colton Herta is the fastest. 1:01.782. Narrowly slower, but just by a shade from his teammate Carl Kirkwood's time yesterday. McLaughlin second. Kirkwood was third. Callum Ilott, an impressive fourth. And the rookie Louis Foster, who won here in Indy Next last year, fifth quickest.